conference play and all kinds of different little mini seasons. It's not
Yes, sir.
necessarily one that y'all have clarified, but this last little stretch run is has potential to be a big resume booster. How important, exciting, insert word here, is this next little run to the end of the season?
Yeah, thankful to be in the position, right? A lot of different ways to break up the 18 game schedule. We've done it new ways, old ways. Kind of always thinking of different creative ways. The latest one was when we lost to Kentucky at Kentucky. That was the 6th game of the season. So if you broke the season up into thirds, and it was a race. We just finished the first lap. We went 5-1, and post game Kentucky. So we're starting the second lap. Can we do it again? Can we go 5-1 again in the second lap? And so never mentioned it again until preparing for at LSU, which just happened to be the 12th game, which was the completion of the second lap, with a chance to go 5-1 in the second lap. And so I have not touched it again. Obviously, we're starting the figurative third lap. What we've tried to do, Travis, and I'm not saying that it's right, how can we just focus on right now? How can we just be our best and be accountable and responsible for what we should do today? And is there a way that we can get better? I think that in the course of my career as a head coach, I've always studied the crescendo of teams, the crescendo of programs. And there's some stark evidence of teams that continue to get better. And every coach wants to get better. I believe every player wants to get better. But what is your plan as the monotony just continues? How are you creatively finding a way to find categories to improve? And it's a credit to the character of our team. I think it's a credit to the skill of our staff to find new things to concentrate on in hopes that it makes you 3% or 4% better. And in a league that's as competitive as this, sometimes that ends up being the separator. It doesn't ensure it, but sometimes it does. And so we're humbled. I think it's the best start in school history in the SEC. We're thankful. We're really excited. But I think what's important is probably don't need to go too fast, right? Because if you look at all of it, it's too much. Every game's quad one. And you know, you can get lost in all of that. And I've tried my best this month not to almost live an even more monk life. I don't really want to know, because it only clouds my thinking. And I don't know that that's the best way to help our group. I just want to see if I can help in some sort of way. They've been so responsive to how we've operated and the changes we've made since Christmas. And I respect them so much. And in truth, I admire them. I know this is a big stretch, but you know this. The last 12 was a real big stretch. And so I don't want to put words in anybody's articles, but that we're in this position says so much about so many people. And it was similar to what I would say to you in the right tone of voice last year. 15-2, 4-0. Wow. You know, Brent asked me last year, 15-2, 4-0, are you upset that you're not ranked? And that was when we were standing up there. You know, like if you come out of my office and go right there to the concourse when we used to meet, I remember it like it was yesterday. And then we lost 8 in a row, and I think 4 were 2 possessions. And then I think we won 12 out of 15. And I get it that the narrative was you lost 8 games. I understand completely. But what I was so what I thought about the most was, yeah, but what about the response of the group after they lost 8 to win 12 out of 15? Like, wow, just stand at attention for those guys. And I kind of feel the same about this group. I completely understand what's at stake. I play possum. I really try to play possum in every scenario. I understand. And I know sometimes my twang and my tone of voice, I understand more than I act like it, even when I'm trying to play possum. I get it. But hey, you know, we've played in 12 NCAA tournament games the last 6 weeks. And I know nobody's going to say that. But because of how we've done in those games is why this is what it is, right? And so thankful for what's transpired, excited about what is upcoming, need to be tough enough and disciplined enough to give our very best and see if we can do this one. That's it.
Hey, Buzz, y'all are so good at getting to the free throw line. I know that y'all like to attack the rim. A lot of teams attack the rim, but aren't as adept at getting to the foul line as you guys are. What's different about y'all?
Yeah, good question. We're very dependent upon it. We're dependent upon trying to get a team in rotation and making the right decision. Most of the time for us, those decisions need to be off 2 feet and with 2 hands, whether that's a shot, whether that's a dump off, whether that's a skip to the weak side, whether that's a pass behind. And then we want to apply as much pressure on the rim prior to the shot. And we want to try to apply just as much pressure on the rim on the rise of the shot. And there's a lot of people involved in that. Obviously, Boots and 4 probably get fouled the most because they're normally the ones that are making those decisions. But, you know, Jew went from whatever it was, I know it was an abysmal number, in the mid-40s to what he's shooting now because of the pressure he's putting on the rim. Henry has continued to improve. He's shooting a career high from the line as well. That's the pressure he's putting on the rim. Sometimes it's on the rise of the shot, but a lot of times Henry's and Boots are coming after the initial shot. And particularly the last 2 games, that's been a needle mover for us. And it's really, it skews our points per possession, both the free throws and the offensive rebounds. And we practice it, we talk about it, we watch film on it, but I wouldn't say, Olin, it's like a unique category. I just think that that's a priority within what we do, and that's the way we want to play. That's the way we're best. We try to recruit to that, for that matter. Guys that can make decisions with the ball, guys that can hold their line and not get knocked off their line. So I don't know necessarily how to compare, you know, like Arkansas is number 1 in rim shot percentage. They play at the rim. They play there a little differently than we do, but if you're only looking at their percentage of shots at the rim, it's very high. For us, we need that to be high, and we also need to get to the free throw line a lot. I think you want to ask about free throws at LSU? Just kidding. I'm actually being a little superstitious on that.
Wade's been good for a long time, but it seems like the last couple games or a couple weeks he's taken it to another level. Do you see
Well, he
that?
played good at LSU now. The one thing I mentioned to him, and I absolutely adore him, to the point that, like, I tell him sometimes, like, hey, if I need to holler and scream at you, even if it's figurative. Just take the chewing, okay? I popped him last week, and he was a little bent out of shape. And so about an hour into practice, I walked by and I go, "Four, I told you, man, every now and then I got to holler at you about something." He was like, "Coach, that wasn't real." I said, "I know. I told you that last week. When I holler at you, if it ain't real, just move on." I love him. I love watching him play. I thought at LSU, you know, he walks a fine line because he is our quarterback. He does change the pace of the game. He can score the ball at all three levels, but yet we're very dependent. I think he's 4.75 assists, and every week I write him a note. I think you need to get to 5. I think 5 will put you at second place at the end of SEC play. If you're averaging 5, I think you'll be in second place. And he's always kind of stayed. He's right there in the realm of that. So we need him to score. We need him to get fouled. But we also need him to create shots. But he probably has a little bit more wiggle room than anybody else on the team. He's going to shoot a shot per game where you're like, "Hey, man, well, you didn't have to shoot that." I thought his discipline on that at LSU was as good as it's been. And I think he's really mature, and obviously he's played real minutes and had a distinct role ever since he got here. But you know, he just started the 4th semester of his college career, and he's playing like a seasoned veteran, you know, and when he is good in all of the categories we need him to be good, it makes our team that much better. When Pick Another player is good, we're thankful for that, and it helps our team. But when 4 is good, that good kind of spreads throughout, and it changes our team.
With him, have you had a player as good as him at drawing that reverse charge, the
No,
soccer foul?
he thinks that's silly in a good way. We keep track of those, whatever those are called. We talked to him about that after Florida, and we started showing him clips of other guys that are kind of good at that. And then we also keep track of tip outs. So there's the ball, it's in the air, we just shot it, we can't get it, volleyball it out. And that's not 4 doing that. So how many times does 4 draw that foul? And how many times do our forwards tip it out? And in essence, 4 is probably getting it. And we've been keeping score of that. And as of today, after 12 games, the tip out, I think, is up 2. The tip out's been doing good last week, and 4 didn't draw any of those fouls last week. So, yeah, two good things to keep score of that probably are not in the box score.
Henry and Wade both said that last time you played Arkansas, that the energy wasn't there. You were playing Texas A&M basketball. So what needs to be different this time?
Well, I think one thing I mentioned to them, I said, guys, you guys stay at University Club. It's 0.65 miles away. We don't need a plane, and we don't need a charter bus. If your car's broke, I'll come pick you up. If you don't want to drive your car or ride with your teammate, I'll still come pick you up. I think that'll help our energy to some degree. We will have shoot around, as my dad would say, as long as the creek don't rise, we'll have shoot around tomorrow. I think that'll help. We'll have pregame meal. I think that will help. We did not give our best, and I thought Arkansas was tremendous. I thought they were tougher than we were. I thought they punked us. They had 10 block shots. We couldn't make a shot at the rim. They made every shot at the rim. Yeah, I thought they were just more physical, played harder, and we never even matched any of those categories. And I think that's what tomorrow will be. I'm not saying that we're good enough to beat them, but I want to see if we can at least be better than we were the last time we were there, because we weren't at our best. But I don't know that our best is good enough. but I at least want to see if our best gives us a chance. We were playing from behind from the beginning, and however Four and Henry said that, they're right.
And a team like Arkansas has no shortage of talent. So
I would say they have 3 draft picks on their team today.
right. So when you're playing, NBA type guys, how much of your game plan goes into their specific games and defending?
Yeah, Coach Rock is in charge of personnel in our program. He's the head coach in charge of that. He handles all of it, the numbers of it, the analytics of it, the clips that we show, the presentation of it to our team. We do that 2 days before a certain group. We do that 1 day before a different group. He's phenomenal at it. And our guys are very receptive to Rock. They love him. He has a great relationship with all of them. And when it's his turn to talk, the whole program knows he's about to talk about personnel. Number 3 is a lottery pick. Number 1 has, I don't know if anybody's guarded him yet, really, this year. Number 0 is going to be a first-round pick in 5 months. So, and there's some other guys that they say are on some draft boards. And I think because of the talent that Coach Muss has accumulated during his time there, obviously they've been ultra successful. But that's a portion of why they have so many new guys every year. A lot of them guys are going pro. And I think, for sure, I think 3 of those guys that are going to be here tomorrow night will be NBA players next year.
As you guys have talked about how there's a player-led team, and Wade talked about how kind of the turning point for the season was around Christmas when the guys kind of were texting each other, talking about how they need to carry themselves a little differently. And just curious how you approach how you empower your players like that, and then what gave you the confidence that they kind of would eventually figure it out.
I think it's hard in this day and age in any position of leadership to not give ownership away. I don't think that that's specific to sports, but if we're only talking about sports, I think a lot of the ways that coaches went about leading when I was young, I think 0% of that translates to today. I think you have to spend an inordinate amount of time building relationships with your guys off the floor. Yes, you need to work with them on the floor. Yes, they need to feel as though what you're doing allows their game to improve. But if you don't love them and they don't trust you, and they believe that you are selfish, they believe that you're arrogant, they believe that they are, quote, working for you, I don't think any of that works. And so I've tried to adapt. I've tried to figure out what is it that I believe in, that I want sacrifice, and then what is it that I can give ownership to. Like, I used to like to talk about personnel. Nobody ever hears me talk about personnel. I study it. I know it. Rock's in charge of that. And that's the way it is throughout our program. If you were to ask for, hey, what coach does personnel? He'd tell you Rock. And I think that that's the best way anymore in this new model. I think you have to give people ownership. You have to hold them accountable to what they're in charge of, but you have to give them ownership. And I think that that allows them to feel not only engaged, but it helps them hold others more accountable because they feel like they're in charge of something. So I try to give as much of it away as I can. Because the goal is not how many NBA players you have. The goal is how good a program can you have in college. The goal is not how many points you can score. The goal is how many games can you win. And the goal is not what's your job title. Your goal is how much better can you make the program. And so when we have staff meeting every day, today was our 69th staff meeting about practice. Everybody's in there. because I can learn from anybody, but everybody has a role. And I think the same is true on our team. And you want your staff and how it operates in an unspoken way to be an example to your players of how you would like them to operate as a team. I think when it's just words, I don't think that works anymore. I think your example is always stronger and has more weight than your words.
I need to get you the film, Coach.
All right.
There's something burning